Are you the pilot flying towards retirement? Because I've seen what happens when you are, and it's not what you think. I started my career in 2007. Yeah, I know, great time to start. And in my first year, I watched two couples head into the same market crash with similar portfolios, similar dreams, same market, same year, completely different outcomes. One of them is still retired today. The other one wasn't so lucky. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, I'm gonna ask you a question that will tell you exactly which one you are right now. I'm Stuart Dickson with HD Money. 18 years working with real families through real markets and real life. And 2008 taught me something that I carry into every client conversation to this day. It's called sequence of return risk. Most people have never heard of it, and not understanding it is one of the most expensive mistakes that a retiree can make. Let me show you what I mean. Here's the concept in plain English. Two people retire on the same day, same amount saved, same investments, same investment rate. One of them retires into a bull market and the other retires into the crash. 20 years later, their outcomes are completely different. Not because of what they owned, not because of how much they saved, but because of what they lost during the market crash. Here's why early losses are so devastating. When you're retired and pulling income and withdrawals from your portfolio every single month, if the market drops 40% in year one of retirement, you're selling shares at the worst possible price just to pay your bills. Those shares are gone. They can't recover because you already spent them. The math is permanent, and the damage from early losses compounds in reverse. Your portfolio never gets the chance to recover the way it would have if you weren't drawing income from it. This is sequence of return risk. And in 2008, I watched it destroy one family's retirement, and I watched another family survive it without missing a single night's sleep. And I'm telling you this story right now in June of 2026 because the market has already reminded us this year that volatility doesn't send an invitation. The first couple, he was a commercial airline pilot. She was a teacher, and he had spent his entire career flying commercial aircrafts. And he had his retirement date that wasn't optional. Federal law requires that commercial pilots have to retire at 65. No extensions, no exceptions. That date was fixed. The plan was in place and the portfolio was built. But here's where it went wrong. Going into 2007, his portfolio was highly aggressive, heavy in equities, positioned for someone still decades from retirement. We had that conversation with him. We said, hey, you need to start repositioning at least 24 months before retirement. We need to start moving out of this risk. And he said no. He said the market was still going up. He wanted to ride it a little longer, build a bigger cushion, and we all know how this story ends. 2008 happened. His portfolio dropped 45%. And at 65, the law said that he was done flying. But the math said he couldn't afford to stop working. He couldn't go back to the cockpit. FAA regulations don't allow it. So he went to a flight school teaching lessons, a fraction of what he had been earning. A man who had spent 30 years flying hundreds of passengers across the country was now teaching student pilots how to take off and land just to make ends meet. That wasn't the retirement he built for his whole career. Sequence of return risk took that from him. Now, real quick, if this is hitting close at home, hit subscribe. I post 1 to 2 new videos every week right here, all of it free. Now, let me tell you about the other couple. The second couple, he had served in the military. Now, he worked as a network system communication specialist for the Army. His wife had spent her career as a paralegal at a law firm. It was a modest household, not super wealthy, not sophisticated investors, but same market, same year. However, they did something different. They came in and they listened. They understood the risk. And they said yes to the plan. Here's what we built for them. Bucket number 1, cash. 6 to 12 months of income needs sitting in a safe, accessible account so that no matter what the markets did, they never had to sell a single investment just to pay their bills. Bucket number 2, income producing assets. Conservative investments designed to refill bucket 1 over time. And then bucket 3 was long-term growth. A conservative allocation positioned for someone who was not going back to work. Not aggressive, not built for someone with a 30-year runway. Built for where they actually were in their life. They also had a pension and a social security. So when 2008 hit, they pulled from their cash bucket. They didn't panic. They didn't sell. They didn't call me in a state of fear asking, Stu, what do I do? They just lived their life while the market recovered around them. The soldier and the paralegal, the modest household that wasn't wealthy or sophisticated, they are still retired today. I want you to sit with that for a second. The pilot had more money, more career prestige, a lifetime of discipline and expertise, and he had to go teach flight lessons just to pay his bills. The soldier who had less, modest savings, no financial background, and he is still retired today. That difference wasn't the portfolio size. The difference wasn't the income. The difference was how they were positioned the day the market decided to move. The pilot was flying at full throttle straight into a storm without checking the weather first. The soldier had a plan for every kind of weather. Are you the pilot flying towards retirement? Here's what I mean by that. Is your portfolio still positioned as if you have 20 years before you need this money? Are you within 5 years of retirement with no plan for what happens if the market drops 30, 40, 50% in 1 year? Do you have a cash bucket, income you can live on for 6 to 12 months that has nothing to do with the market? Or are you fully invested telling yourself that the market will hold up just a little bit longer? Because that's exactly what the pilot said. And the market didn't ask him what was convenient. Look, I'm not predicting a crash, nobody can. But I can tell you with certainty that the market goes down. They always have, they always will. And the only question that matters is whether you're positioned for it before it happens, not after. The pilot found out the hard way. The soldier already knew. So, are you the pilot or are you the soldier? Because right now, before the market decides for you, you still get to choose. Sequence of return risk doesn't care how much you've saved. It doesn't care how hard you worked. It doesn't care what you had as a plan. It only cares how you were positioned when the losses arrived. The pilot had a plan, he just didn't adjust it in time. The soldier had a plan too, and he stuck to it. That's the whole difference. That's what 18 years in this work has taught me. And it's why I keep showing up here every week, putting the same conversations I have with clients right here for free. If you want to know whether your portfolio is positioned for the retirement you planned, take the HD Money retirement quiz. Link is in the description. Takes about 2 minutes. And hey, if this was helpful, subscribe so you can catch next week's video. I'll see you then.